Hello and welcome to today's episode of The Real Talk. It's Friday, the 8th of November in the year 2024. And I am your host, Lubumbe Jeremiah Mulanda from the Youth Platform, a youth representative, yet again with another informative topic brought to you by the Youth Platform and its cooperating partners. Today's topic is a very interesting one, and we are discussing all things PrEP and HIV testing. And to you, our lovely viewers, you can send us your comments, your questions, and your contributions, and we'll be happy to digest this conversation together. I am not alone on the show. I am joined by two phenomenal ladies, one of which is Musonda, who is the community ART advisor at USA, joining us all the way from Washington, D.C. in the United States of America. Musonda, it's a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. And not forgetting my sign language interpreter, Zolo. It's a pleasure to have you. Musonda, how is the situation in the United States? We know you guys recently had your elections. How's the feel? What's happening there?
It's an interesting time, let me say. Good morning, good afternoon. It's 7 a.m. over here, but yeah, change is never easy, and so I guess we'll just be watching this space. But it's been quite a historic time being here for this election.
Yeah. I mean, the biggest reflection I have taken from what has happened is that America is truly the place of dreams. Like anything can happen and anything will happen. But anyway, I think it's only right that you begin by telling us a bit about yourself, Musonda. Who is Musonda in the context of today's topic, and why do you refer to yourself as a PrEP advocate? Why is this conversation important to you?
Thank you, Jeremiah, and I'm so happy to be here. I can talk about PrEP all day, every day. And while I'm not necessarily technically a youth anymore, I do consider myself to be young at heart. And I really love being able to share information, key messaging on PrEP, and make sure that young people have access to correct information and accurate information, know where they can access PrEP, which is an intervention that can help them avert HIV infection. So I love talking about PrEP. I support PrEP and making sure that our young people have access to it.
Beautiful. Now, Musonda, I know that the young people who are following the show right now, who might not know what PrEP stands for. So, what is PrEP, and what are the current options available for young people with regards to PrEP here in Zambia?
So I think a lot of people will not realize that we've actually had PrEP for a long time in Zambia, since 2017. And PrEP is pre-exposure prophylaxis. And so the pre is really critical. It's something that you take before you are HIV positive to help you prevent HIV infection. And so we have two types of PrEP available in Zambia. We have tablets, which can be taken every day. And most recently, we have an injection. Zambia was the second country in the world to have injectable PrEP available outside of a study setting. So we've really worked to expand these high impact HIV prevention interventions across the country so that we can help our people in Zambia avert HIV infection.
Is it only in health facilities where young people can access PrEP, or there are other places where they can go and access PrEP?
I think, thank you for that question. I think one thing that we have to acknowledge is, for one reason or another, our young people might not like going to health facilities. The United States government through PEPFAR has worked collaboratively with the Ministry of Health to expand youth-friendly services, but you don't necessarily want to go to a clinic where you can see your Auntie Josephine, seeing you access HIV prevention. So what we're doing as well is expanding pre-exposure prophylaxis, both, again, the tablets and the injection, to community-based services so that even outside of the facilities, young people can access PrEP.
I wanted to ask this question running away from the script, and this is just, from your own experience. Do you think that it should be a priority to have PrEP accessible in schools? And I'm speaking not only in high schools, for example, but also in universities. I'm currently in university, and I know that most of my colleagues in university, do indulge in sexual activity. activities. But should we begin to make PrEP in higher learning institutions, in learning institutions, a priority? Because this is where most of the adolescents and young people are.
Yes, I agree. High schools, I think, we would need to kind of tread carefully there, but I think in universities, definitely. And again, we are working with implementing partners to expand access to PrEP in institutions of higher learning. I'm not sure which institution you go to, but at least luckily, UNZA has a clinic on site where HIV prevention can be reached. Through implementing partners, for example, like Discover Health in 10 miles, you notice a bunch of colleges and institutions kind of popping up. And they have been doing university-based demand generation and engaging with community structures there, identifying focal point persons that can help university students know where they can go if they want to access both the injection for PrEP and tablets. And so, again, we know that if a young person is at university, they're not necessarily going to want to go to a clinic to go access it. So, we have to differentiate, and this means taking services outside of the facility to where people are found. And where people are found is different. It could be in universities, it could be in markets, it could be, in other places at the borders. And so we really do have to make sure that we are taking services where we know we're going to find people and where they can easily access them.
I like that. Thank you so much. For our viewers who are tuning in, you can send us your questions, your comments, and your contribution. And if you're just joining us, we are discussing PrEP and HIV testing. And we have Musonda from USAID, who is here to help us understand what PrEP really is and the connection between PrEP and HIV testing. Now, from what you've explained, Musonda, I understand that PrEP is kind of like the pre, so it is before you are exposed to HIV. So I know there are young people out there who are wondering, what are some of the types, that are available when we are speaking about PrEP? And maybe you can speak into those that are available here in Zambia and are accessible to the young people.
Definitely. So we do currently have two types of PrEP available in Zambia. So these are tablets, which are called oral PrEP. And this can be found in health facilities across the country. I was recently looking at the data, and it's more than 2,100 health facilities across Zambia, both rural and urban locations where young people can access PrEP. We also have an injection, which is new. It's called cabotegravir long-acting, CAB-LA. This has since been expanded to 30 facilities across the country. We've really worked hard with the Ministry of Health to expand access to at least all provinces across the provincial capitals. We know that we still have a way to go, but I'm really proud of the fact that young people can access the injection, which is taken every 60 days. Across all 10 provinces of Zambia. So people really just have to look at what's best for them. Some people don't like injections for one reason or another, so they might say, okay, for me, it's the tablet. But you have to take the tablet at the same time every day and consistently and correctly to really, maximize that HIV prevention. For some people who forget to take tablets, or they might think the tablets are too big to swallow, the injection would be perfect for them. They go in, they get the injection, and then they forget until, after 60 days, they can come in and get their next injection.
Awesome. Now, this is a popular question amongst the young people, Musonda, and I'm letting you in on what the conversations that are happening. Who
Jeremiah, you froze for me for a bit.
So sorry about that. Can you hear me?
Okay, can hear you now. You
Yes.
left right when you were about to tell me the secret for young people. I was so excited
I think the young people don't want you to know our secret. But I was saying a popular conversation when it comes to PrEP among us, we the young people, is who really is PrEP for? When you think about PrEP, who should be taking PrEP and who shouldn't be taking PrEP? What are some of the guidelines with regards to PrEP?
You know what? PrEP is for anyone who feels that they are at risk. And I really want us to move away from that, previous myth and misconception that if somebody is taking PrEP, they are promiscuous, they are sleeping around. That is not necessarily the case. For one reason or another, somebody can say, you know what, I am at risk because of this reason. You could be at risk because you are in a relationship with a girl or a guy that you are truly in love with, but for some reason or another, that person cannot remain faithful to you. You can also be at risk because of other situations. And so as long as somebody feels that they, for one particular reason or another, are at risk, they are eligible for PrEP. And let us not let, the stigma and discrimination that has really, revolved around PrEP to keep us from accessing this really impactful HIV prevention method that is available for us in Zambia.
Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. PrEP is for anyone who feels that they are at risk. And gone are the days, where we should be having conversations around if someone is having PrEP, then they're promiscuous, then they don't listen. It's you basically just trying to protect yourself, And I remember some time back, one facilitator in a workshop made reference to the seat belt in a vehicle Sonda. So this man said, you don't wear a seat belt, because you anticipate that you're going to be in an accident, right? You wear a seat belt in order to protect yourself. Accident or not, you always need to wear a seat belt. And I feel it's the same with PrEP. As long as you think that you are going to be at risk, it is important for you to take PrEP. So remember, to our viewers, once again, you can send us your questions, your comments, your contributions, and those secrets, those secret conversations that you've been having. Bring them here so that you can hear from the experts themselves in terms of what PrEP is, how to use it, and of course the relationship between PrEP and HIV. So, Musonda, I know that with any medication, there are some effects, there's some side effects that come with regards to that. So what are some of the non-side effects with regards to PrEP, for example, especially that you mentioned that for the oral PrEP, you need to take it every day at a particular period of time. So what are some of the side effects that you've noticed people having when they take PrEP?
Thanks, Jeremiah. And I'm glad that you started with saying, like with every medication, even paracetamol, Panadol can have side effects. So it's not unusual for some people to feel side effects when they're taking oral, when they're taking both PrEP interventions. But I really have to emphasize that these side effects are self-limiting. This means that they will go away within a short period of time. And side effects are experienced by less than 10% of people who take PrEP. And so the side effects are actually the same for both. It can be mild nausea, mild diarrhea, and also some fatigue. With the injection, some people experience mild headaches, but then these can go away with a simple painkiller. I have to say, so I call myself a PrEP advocate, and I've been working in this space for some time. But then I realized about 2 years ago that I've never taken PrEP. And so I just said, how can I go and speak about the experience of PrEP if I've never taken PrEP? So I started taking PrEP. It was about 1.5 years ago. And I was one of those 10% that experienced some side effects. It wasn't too bad. It was some nausea, again, mild diarrhea, but something that within a week or so faded. And so at least now I feel like I can speak confidently behind that to say, the side effects are minimal, because before I was really speaking from a place where I had no experience of that. So, if anyone is worried about that, I can assure you that there's, very mild if you do experience them, and they do go away within a week or so.
Are the side effects also similar to the injectable PrEP, or they might be different?
No, they're actually similar. And thank you for that clarification. So what we've seen in some of our clients that are getting that injection is the injection itself is not painful. We were asking clients to rate the pain of the injection from 0 to 10, being 10 being so painful, I'm never coming back. And the most clients were rating it 2. Some of them even 0. Have you even finished giving me the injection? But what happens with some people is within 3 to 4 days, they'll feel some mild pain where the injection was. But again, it's minimal. And if you do feel pain at the injection site, you can take a painkiller like paracetamol. But then there was also, yes, some mild fatigue, some mild headaches, and for some people, some nausea. But again, these are self-limiting, which means they will go away on their own within a week or so.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Now, the tech team is advising me that we have some questions that are coming in. And thank you so much for all who have joined. You can send us your questions, your comments, and your contributions, and we will be able to read them here. So Nixon comes through and says, watching from Sesheke. Thank you so much, Nixon. It is good to have you. Mutokwa also comes through and says, watching from Mongo. Thank you so much. We are happy to hear that Western Province is in the building. Lydian comes through and says, watching from Chipata. Is it true that PrEP has severe side effects? Good question. There's a question there, Musonda. Severe side effects. A Facebook user comes through and says, is there really a difference between PrEP and PEP in terms of drug combination? Is there really a difference between PrEP and PEP in terms of drug combination? So we start with the first question, Musonda. Are there any severe side effects? I know you've spoken to the mild side effects, but are there any severe side effects?
Again, Jeremiah, thank you, Lillian, for this question. So every single drug can have severe side effects, but these are extremely rare. So I want to ensure the viewers that it is extremely rare. It's like 0.1% that somebody will experience severe side effects. About 10% will experience the mild ones, which I've just spoken to. And I can speak confidently to this, that I took PrEP about 1.5 years ago, and this was the oral PrEP. And I had the mild side effects, which was some mild diarrhea, and nausea. So it wasn't like that diarrhea that has you running to the toilet. No, it's just basically loose stool. So those are the side effects. In terms of should I go ahead and answer the next question, Jeremiah, as well?
Yeah, sure.
So on the effects, I think I've touched upon that. Safety and efficacy. So this is a very good question, especially the efficacy. But what I really want to emphasize here is, while both types of PrEP that are available in Zambia, this is the oral, the tablets, and the injectable, are more than 90% safe. Let us remember that there is no prevention method that is 100% effective in preventing HIV. This is why we really have to make sure that we're doing what we call combination prevention. So for example, somebody can be on the oral PrEP or the injectable, but still be using condoms. And condoms are important because while PrEP can prevent HIV, it does not prevent pregnancy. It will not prevent other STIs. So chlamydia, gonorrhea, syphilis are not prevented by PrEP. So to really ensure that we are protecting ourselves holistically, let us combine different aspects of prevention. For men, young men, you can do PrEP, you can do VMMC, and you can do condoms. So let's just make sure that we're really protecting ourselves to the fullest to prevent HIV infection. And in terms of risks for prolonged use, this was one of the questions that came through. Oral PrEP, once you stop taking it, it will leave your body within 4 days. And there's no potential sort of long-term side effects from prolonged use. There was a lovely young woman who, Jeremiah, I think you might have met. She spoke at one of the youth indabas about 1 year or so ago. Her name was Lucy Musonda. Amazing young woman. She's been on oral PrEP for 3 years. And she just says, this is the best intervention for me, and she's protecting herself, and she's still healthy. She's graduated university now, and she's moving on with her life. With injectable PrEP, it does take a little bit longer to leave your body, but then we can go into this further if other questions come up. And the last question, and before I pass it over back to Jeremiah, is the difference between PEP and PrEP. So PEP is post-exposure prophylaxis, and PEP is pre-exposure prophylaxis. In terms of drug combination, there really is not much of a difference. But then what we just have to remember is for PEP, it has to be taken within 72 hours of HIV exposure. So this is maybe, you had a sexual encounter with somebody whose HIV status you don't know, and you didn't use protection, and you just want to make sure that you're not going to get HIV, you have to take it within 72 hours of HIV exposure. The sooner, the better. And PrEP is pre, that you take before HIV infection. And oral PrEP takes about 7 days to become effective in your body. And injectable PrEP actually takes about the same, about 7 days to become effective in your body. So if you're just starting out with both types of PrEP, please make sure you're using a backup method like a condom. But even after the 7 days, it doesn't mean stop, because again, we really want to emphasize that combination prevention for effective HIV prevention. I've spoken. Let me hand it back to our host, Jeremiah.
Thank you so much. The beauty about your response, Musonda, is that you've just responded to the next 3 questions, which is good. So we'll probably spend the rest of our time, because I know that there are more comments that are coming in the comment section, and I still want to go back and just hear what the people are thinking. Tech team, do you have any more questions? Okay, good. So Facebook user comes through again and says, are there laboratory investigations that are conducted before one is initiated on PrEP? Good question.
Is Facebook user not a clinician? Sounds like a very clinical person.
Oh, yes, yes. Yeah, please go ahead and respond, Musonda.
No, sure. I think that's a very good question. So, and that is one of the topics of this particular talk is PrEP and HIV testing. And we have to emphasize that before somebody can start any type of PrEP, we have to confirm that they are HIV negative. So to access PrEP, you do have to take an HIV test, which will confirm that you're HIV negative, and then you can start PrEP safely. So for oral PrEP, you just have to take, as of right now, it's one test, which is determined. So I hope that people that have called in have at least, been tested at least once. It's important to know your HIV status. I myself test every year. And so when you test for HIV, you get the one rapid test. And if it's HIV negative, you can start oral PrEP. For injectable PrEP, there are a few more tests required, just because, again, it's a new molecule, and we really do have to confirm that somebody is HIV negative with injectable PrEP, because it has what we call a long half-life. So once you start getting the injection, it will stay in your body for up to 12 months. So this is 1 year. And even though you stop, you will still have some levels of the injectable PrEP in your body, but not enough to prevent HIV. So that's why it's very important to make sure that when you are taking injectable PrEP, you are tested frequently. And there are 3 tests that you'll have to take to really confirm your HIV negative status when you are on injectable PrEP. So again, this can be a decision that our clients or individuals take into consideration when they're starting PrEP, because with oral PrEP, it's easy. It's one test, you start, and you're only having one test every 3 months. But with injectable PrEP, it is 3 tests every 60 days. So those are just some of the things that we have to keep in mind as well.
Thank you so much, Musonda. I know Facebook user must be feeling very satisfied with your responses. I want us to speak about the challenges, because I know that the PrEP conversation in Zambia has, been there for a while. I know that you and your team at USAID, working in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and other partners, have faced certain challenges. What are those challenges, and what do you think we can begin to do to be able to overcome those challenges and ensure that PrEP is available and it's accessible to many young people in Zambia?
Thanks, Jeremiah. And I think I'm actually looking at the comments here, and one of the challenges are being mentioned by a lot of people, which is, the lack of information. and misinformation. And so one thing that USAID is doing that I'm so proud and excited about is thinking beyond sort of normal demand generation. Because we know that, yes, you can hand out a brochure, but a brochure will only reach that one person that you're giving it to. And we really need to think about mass media. So watch this space. Anyone who watches Impali, there is going to be a storyline coming on Impali that involves PrEP. And the whole point of this is really to, as Facebook user here says, address some of those discriminatory remarks, saying it's the same as ARV, so this person is HIV positive, and so we're really going to use this platform that reaches millions of people every week to address some of these myths and misconceptions. Some of the other challenges that exist, I think, especially for young people in the rural areas, as another Facebook user has mentioned here. I think when we started PrEP initially, we were focusing on high HIV burden districts, which unfortunately were urban districts. So the Ndolas, the Kitways, the Lusakas. But now that we're looking to scale up, I think we do need to do better for our young people and people in rural areas. So again, through the Ministry of Health, the U.S. government through PEPFAR, USAID, CDC is working with our implementing partners to make sure that we're really scaling up PrEP interventions in rural areas and making sure that young people have access to PrEP. And in terms of how we can address some of these things, I think we forget the power that we also have as individuals. I probably talk about PrEP too much, but I use every opportunity when I come across people who don't know about PrEP to talk about PrEP, to just correct some of those myths and misconceptions, and to admit that I have taken PrEP. I wouldn't consider myself to be promiscuous. I'm just somebody who is concerned about my health, And so I think when you hear conversations like that about, no, it's for those who are promiscuous or sleeping around, I think you could be an advocate yourself and ensure that people have correct information and help them know where they can go. Another thing that we have is, and I'll send a link in the chat, is a youth cloud clinic. This is a clinic that is available digitally that any young person can log into, and you can create an account for yourself. And not only does it have information on HIV prevention, treatment, etc. It also has other resources around education. And so I would encourage people to use this platform. One thing I love about it is that it'll also help you find the nearest clinic to you, no matter where you are, so that you can access PrEP. And so these are some of the resources that USAID is supporting to make sure that correct and accurate information reaches our young people.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Musonda. We are slowly edging towards the end of the show. My last question is, can you discuss any future directions for PrEP in Zambia? And these may include expansion or scale up of PrEP services to address the existing challenges. I know you've already spoken about exciting things like Mpali, for example, like the cloud clinic, but are there any other, and how can the young people begin to take lead in expanding PrEP access to all young people in Zambia?
Thank you. I think one thing that PEPFAR is doing that's really kind of exciting, and I think some of you, Jeremiah, I think Natasha, Victoria as well, have all participated in the new way that we are planning as PEPFAR. I think before, one thing we didn't do very well is actually engaging stakeholders. And those of you that participated in the PEPFAR process last year, I think saw how different it was. We didn't make decisions on the behalf of young people. We really had sessions where young people led sessions and told us what they wanted to hear and what they wanted to see. We're also working through PEPFAR, to sort of strengthen some of these community-based organizations so that they are leading in these interventions for demand generation. I think really focusing on that, nothing for us without us. We're going to continue to scale up injectable PrEP into more sites so that we make it available for people who are at risk. And one thing that we've really changed previously, if somebody came to a facility and wanted PrEP, they would have to go through a rigorous, eligibility criteria. Now, our new guidelines really emphasize that if somebody comes and says, I want to start PrEP, they've come for a reason. They know what their risks are. There's no need to start saying, no, when was the last time? No, there's no need for all of that. So really trying to address some of these barriers that used to keep young people from coming to our facilities. So I'm really excited. I think there's a lot that's going to happen. And I encourage people to, again, be that personal advocate and speak to the people around you, speak to other youths in your universities, in your colleges, in your communities, so that we really help push Zambia towards, reducing HIV as a public health threat by 2030.
Well said. Thank you so much, Musonda. It was a pleasure to have you on the show. We hope that you can come again sometime to keep these conversations going. We realize that these are not conversations to have once off, but these are conversations that we always need to constantly, have and remind ourselves of the importance of PrEP and the relationship it has with HIV. So thank you so much. And we appreciate the work that the US government is doing, in Zambia in particular, the effect it's having on the young people. Your work is evident, and we keep saying thank you so much and for supporting our work as the youth platform. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This was our conversation today. We were discussing all things PrEP and HIV testing, and we had Musonda from USAID, who is a PrEP advocate, not forgetting my sign language interpreter, Memory Zulu. Thank you so much for joining us. We are having yet another conversation next week, Friday, where we will be discussing another real topic on the Real Talk. One more thing, Musonda, I know that there are so many other comments that are coming in the comment section, so please find some time to just go in there and reply to one or two so that we keep the conversation going on and on. And I will do the same, as nothing for us without us. So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. I was your host, Lubumbe Jeremiah Mulanda, a youth representative from the youth platform. Until next time, where we have another real conversation on the Real Talk, it's bye-bye and God bless.